Ouija board on a Halloween night, Blake. We should have never tempted fate, for the price we paid was a lifetime of unrelenting terror. At first, it was all about a dare, a thrilling adventure that had us feeling pretty excited. Halloween night had this magical hold on our little town, and we, a bunch of daring teenagers, got together thinking we were invincible. We decided to meet up in the attic of this old, falling apart house, feeling like we were above it all. The excitement was like an electric current running through us as we stood there, thinking we could conquer anything. Halloween's enchantment made us feel like we could take on the world. We were young and eager to prove ourselves, like we were challenging the very essence of fear itself. The attic was gloomy, filled with secrets from the past, and we were ready to unlock them, ready to show the world we were made of tough stuff. And, oh, that house. It had a history, a gruesome one that had the whole town whispering. There were tales of terrible events, but we didn't believe them. No, we were too sure of ourselves. The warnings from the townsfolk fell on deaf ears. We were invincible, after all. I mean, what could happen, right? Whatever terrible that had happened, it had happened in the past. And ghost, spirits, these aren't even real to begin with. And we thought we could handle anything that came our way. My own heart burned with youthful enthusiasm as I observed the faces of my friends. Raven, our bold leader, had ignited the spark of this audacious venture, and her determination barely concealed the eagerness that glinted in her eyes. Alex, our resident skeptic, chuckled under his breath, his bravado masking the flutter of nerves that occasionally betrayed him. Jamie and Lisa, the inseparable couple, held each other close, their shared sense of adventure evident in the way they clung to one another. Mark, always the quiet observer, scrutinized the scene with a hint of skepticism in his eyes. The attic was a shadowy, mysterious place, and the air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. But the bond we shared as friends gave us the confidence to brave it. Before us, the Ouija board lay, an ancient artifact covered in strange symbols and hidden mysteries. And what better to do on a spooky, ghostly Halloween night? Summon the spirits that everyone said haunted this old, crumbling house. Yes, that's right. It was all about testing our bravery and facing our deepest fears. Again, they don't exist. The suspense hung in the air. Some of us were excited, some of us were anxious. The flickering light of a solitary candle illuminated the room, casting eerie shadows upon the cracked, peeling wallpaper. The anticipation was electric as we gathered around the Ouija board. I began the ritual. I pricked my fingers and a drop of blood oozed out. My fingers strangely trembled as I touched the planchette, the thrill of the unknown quickly mingling with a growing sense of dread. The incantation fell from my lips, and the room was bathed in a pregnant silence as we awaited the response. A feeling of excitement filled the room as the planchette, that little piece on the Ouija board, started moving. It seemed like there was some invisible force guiding it. The confident looks on our faces began to fade, replaced by uneasy expressions, as we watched the wooden pointer slide across the board, spelling out strange messages. At first, we thought it was a prank, maybe one of us playing a trick. Laughter and disbelief echoed around the room as we suspected that someone was secretly pushing the planchette. But the laughter faded away as the responses became way too precise and downright spooky. The room was suddenly getting chillier and colder. The suspense in the room grew thicker, and our smiles turned into wide-eyed stares, unsure of what was happening.
"Who are you?"
Raven inquired, her voice quivering with a mixture of trepidation and excitement. The planchette slid purposefully to MURDRER. A chill, as cold as the grave, raced down my spine, and the room seemed to grow colder, the candlelight quivering with a spectral intensity. What had started as a dare now evolved into a genuine sense of unease.
What do you want?
Lisa asked, her voice quavering with apprehension. The planchette, with an eerie deliberation, spelled out two ominous words, YOU. A shiver raced through the room, and we all felt a heavy sense of dread settling upon us. Outside, the night grew even darker, casting a shadow of foreboding over the room. The temperature dropped suddenly, and an icy wind blew through, making us shiver. It felt like an otherworldly presence was in the room with us. The candle's flame danced wildly, and we were plunged into a suffocating darkness that tested our courage to the limit, making our hearts race with fear. Panic took hold as we struggled to break free from the invisible grip that had seized us, urging the planchette towards goodbye. But the sinister instrument resisted our efforts, refusing to obey our commands. It felt as though some unseen hand was blocking our every move, leaving us in a state of helpless dread. At that moment, fear and regret raced through my mind like a runaway train. I felt like I had made a terrible mistake. The fear was like a cold, clammy hand gripping my heart, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something awful was about to happen. I wished I could go back in time and change my decision, but it was too late. The sense of dread was overwhelming, and I couldn't escape it. The room started to come alive. Whispers filled the air. Things started flying around, hurting and injuring us. For a moment, we froze, unable to unsee the sight that just took place right in front of us. We rushed out of the attic in a hurry, but the feeling of fear and unease stayed with us, making us feel like something bad was just around the corner. We had accidentally let something supernatural into our world, and its evil presence was now a part of our lives. As the night went on, we couldn't find any peace. We had disturbing nightmares, and strange things started happening. Objects moved on their own, strange whispers echoed in the darkness, and it felt like invisible hands were touching us, making our skin crawl. The sinister spirits we had unknowingly summoned had broken free from the attic and now haunted our everyday lives. Fear never left our side, and we reached out to experts, people who could talk to the spirits, and religious leaders, all in a desperate attempt to find safety. But these evil spirits just wouldn't stop. At night, we were haunted by terrifying dreams, as if these evil spirits were trying to get into our heads. Sleep paralysis and looping dreams became our constant nightmares. Every night I was choked, unable to move, unable to scream, by the same repeating hideous woman, which was a terrifying sight to behold. Her skin was pallid and waxy, as if drained of all life and color. Her hair, long and unkempt, hung in greasy tangles that almost seemed to writhe of their own accord. Her eyes were like dark voids, devoid of any warmth or humanity. Her lips were twisted into a gruesome grin, revealing yellowed, jagged teeth. Our days and nights started to feel the same, with the line between what was real and what was a nightmare blurring. We needed to fix our mistake. We went back to that old, crumbling house, hoping to put an end to this never-ending fear. But by then, it was too late. These spirits had become too strong, and they seemed to enjoy tormenting us, growing even more powerful each day. We even asked for help from anyone who might know what to do. People who had experience with these spirits were helpless, unable to stop the constant terror. Even religious figures tried to help, but the evil spirits just got angrier and more dangerous every time someone tried to get rid of them. Our days became really scary, and at night, we couldn't sleep because we were so terrified. We kept seeing weird shadows and heard voices that made us question our sanity. When we tried to rest, that woman kept coming back to haunt us. Our group, which used to be close, fell apart. Our lives weren't the same anymore. Each of us was deeply affected by the constant fear we were living through. One evening, feeling like we had no other choice, we got together in the old, falling apart house. We had found a way to get away from these evil spirits that wouldn't leave us alone. The atmosphere in the house felt even more terrifying than before, and it seemed like the walls were alive with evil laughter. We went back up to the attic, where all this trouble had started, hoping to make things right. But as we went into the attic, the evil spirits attacked us with a terrible force. Things flew through the air, the room got icy cold, and it went pitch black. All we could hear was their creepy laughter. It was clear they weren't going to let us leave without a fight. In the middle of all this supernatural chaos, we felt a growing determination. We just had to figure out how to fix our mistake and get rid of these spirits. We needed our lives back. Together, with all our courage and might despite the dangerous items flying towards us, we set up the Ouija board once again. Raven's head is now dripping with blood as something sharp hit her head. Despite that, she resolved to end this right now, right here. We had to say goodbye. In a final, desperate act, Raven summoned her waning strength, her trembling hand pushing the planchette towards the word goodbye with a forceful resolve. As the planchette finally landed on those letters, a haunting, cold wind swept through the room, whispering tales of sorrow and despair. The room went pitch dark, and it felt like the spirits were gone. We breathed a sigh of relief, but we still felt a bit uneasy. It was like the spirits were just resting, not gone for good. We left the attic, tired and scared, but we were closer as friends, even though what we went through left its mark on us. From that day on, we always felt a little scared, like the spirits were still around. We had stepped into the world of the supernatural, and the memories of what happened stuck with us. It felt like the line between the living and the supernatural had blurred, and the spirits still gave us the creeps. From that day on, we lived with a constant sense of foreboding, the evil spirit's presence a lingering shadow in our lives. We had ventured into the supernatural, and the scars of our encounter ran deep. We were so shaken and traumatized by the events that we never participated in Halloween celebrations after. It only reminded us of our foolishness. The line between the living and the supernatural had blurred, and the spirits continued to cast a chilling pall over our existence. We should have never tempted fate, for the price we paid was a lifetime of unrelenting terror. If you found any enjoyment in the video, I implore you to click that like button and subscribe if you dare.